the Jonin Monkey again, and welcome to Video Game Troubadour, where we review the best and the worst of video game storytelling. Happy New Year, everyone! I know for many people, 2016 has been a year of many ups and downs that people are happy to see the back of. In my case, one of the downs was the fact that my upload schedule for VGT basically fell apart. But I think it's better for us to focus on the positives. Normally, I prefer to do a general retrospective rather than these end-of-year lists because I don't have the time, money, or hardware to keep up with every single new release each year. But I also started watching Kitsune Hawk this year, and not only did I find an interesting series about character design you should totally check out, but I also found a format that's so simple I can't believe I never thought of it before. The top 10 gaming narratives I've played this year! As the title implies, this is a list of my 10 favourite gaming narratives that I played from Christmas 2015 to Christmas 2016, whether they're new releases or older games I'm picking up for the first time. Oh, and unless I say otherwise, yes, if they haven't been reviewed already, all of these will be VGT episodes or Monkey Broadcast reviews at some point. Also, before the list officially begins, I want to give one honorary 2016 Nana award to Space Invaders Invasion Day. Just because it's hilarious. The idea of making a dark, serious drama out of Space Invaders is amusing in itself, but the hammy nature of the cutscenes and the dialogue that is on par with the original Resident Evil makes this game a wonderful case of being so terrible it's great.
The signals that come from this place, radio signals, electrical waves, it's invading our space. We must stop this invasion.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
I hate your voice. I hate your looks. I hate your heart.
Okay, now you're being ridiculous.
But yeah, it's time for us to officially begin the list with... Number 10! Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice and Shantae Half Genie Hero. I know it seems odd to start this list with a tie, but I like both of these games for similar reasons. Both are continuations of franchises I like, and both games respect their characters, subtly maintain continuity, and have fun placing our heroes in new scenarios. Spirit of Justice gets bonus points for having a new setting that shakes up the dynamic and raises the stakes for poor old Phoenix Wright, whilst Half Genie Hero sends Shantae on a variety of amusing quests with great visual storytelling in the levels themselves. At the time of recording, I've yet to finish either game, and unfortunately both games barely made it to this spot. Half Genie Hero doesn't have any major stakes or a villain right now, plus it relies a lot on backtracking. Spirit of Justice started off good, but Case 2 was a painfully predictable slog, and unfortunately Case 3 seems to be going in the same direction. But despite these faults, there's still enjoyable new chapters in both franchises, and they make a good place to start this list. But now we need to move on to... Number 9! Undertale. Yes, I know, I'm a little late to the party with this one. But yes, I did play it, and yes, it will be a VGT in the future. I mean, how could it not be, with half of the internet calling it a revolutionary marvel, and the other half calling it a cancerous abomination? The reason it's so far down on the list is because my opinion ranks somewhere in between these two extremes. Its soundtrack, atmosphere, and character interactions all deserve the praise it gets, but I have problems with both the humour and several plot elements that appear in the final acts. That said, it's still an enjoyable tale that I'd recommend to anyone who's curious. It made this list for a reason, after all. Number 8! The Wolf Among Us. This is the second Telltale game I've played, and whilst the formulaic nature of their works was more obvious this time round, I still enjoyed this story. Honestly, I think the Telltale's cinematic adventure game formula works a lot better in a detective story than an action drama like The Walking Dead. It also helps that the developers and writers really get what the film noir genre is about. I'll elaborate more on this when I get to my full review, but I'll just say for now that if you're looking for a detective story with some fantasy elements in it, you can't go wrong with this. Number 7! Project Cross Zone 2. I've already talked about this game at length on Monkey Broadcast, but it bears repeating. This is the best crossover game I've ever played. Not only is the sheer amount of franchises they include impressive, but the fact that it's a strategy RPG and not a fighting game means we can focus on the character interaction, which is what I feel a crossover should be about. The plot can be convoluted and repetitive at times, hence why it's on the lower half of this list, but the great quotes and badass moments make for an awesome ride from start to finish. I mean, come on, where else are you gonna see Ryu and Ken face off against Metalface with the assistance of Segata Sanshiro? Number 6! Yakuza. This game was a fan donation / birthday present I never expected to get, never considered buying for myself, and never expected to like it as much as I do now. It's a fun, cinematic action / redemption story that has some goofy moments here and there, but never stops being engaging in either its action or its plot. I could go on, but I'm saving my analysis for the main review, so all I'll say is that this was a pleasant surprise, and I'm considering picking up the sequels because I'm now strangely attached to Kazuma, and I want to see what he gets up to in future stories. We're past the halfway point now, so let's waste no time and get to Number 5! Fire Emblem Fates. After the long review Sven and me gave this game on Monkey Broadcast, of course Fates would be on this list. As we said in that episode, the central concept of being caught between two warring families is great, the cast is likeable, and when it manages to get its drama right, it's really powerful stuff. Honestly, this game could have been much higher on this list, but there are some unfortunate moments where the plot takes massive leaps in logic to get where it needs to be, and I suspect it is less to do with bad writing than it does poor planning. For example, Anarchos had complex desires and motivations which could have made him one of the most interesting antagonists in the franchise. Unfortunately, they chose to save that backstory for the DLC, meaning that in the main story he's nothing more than a mindless rambling monster that comes out of nowhere. But for every flat note, there are great songs that tug at the heartstrings and make for a really satisfying gameplay experience. Hence why Fire Emblem Fates takes the number 5 spot. Number 4! Tales of Xillia 2. I picked up Tales of Xillia last year and really enjoyed it, so obviously I was going to pick up its direct sequel at some point. Whilst the world of Xillia is still pretty bland and full of mutton, I'm more than happy to spend time with the cast, especially Alvin, to see how they've developed between games and how they deal with the new multi-dimensional threat. The sequel also has some unique experimental twists for the Tales formula that make it stand out, some of which work, like the dialogue choices, and some don't, like the debt mechanic. There are also some major faults, mainly the fact that the rules of the dimensional powers seem to keep changing for the sake of drama rather than being consistent, but in the end, it was a unique premise that gave me the pleasant mixture of humour, drama and character dynamics I expected when I pick up a Tales game, and I can't ask for more than that. Number 3! Pokemon Sun. I've always enjoyed the experience of raising a team of Pokemon whilst exploring a new world, so this game was going to be on this list no matter what. What elevates this game to the top 3, however, is the new direction this narrative took that breathes new life into the franchise. The Island Challenge was a great shake-up of the formula that allowed the game to follow the traditional structure, but make each step of the journey feel unique, so the experience truly feels like an adventure where anything could happen. Combine this with a great supporting cast, some interesting new ideas, and some nice little twists on Pokemon cliches, and you have the ingredients for one of my favourite games in the entire franchise. One that even comes close to knocking Pokemon Black and White off its top spot. If you're a Pokemon fan and you haven't picked this up yet, you owe it to yourself to get this one. Number 2! Xenoblade Chronicles X. This game was the reason I set this list between two Christmases. Whilst I technically got this game for Christmas in 2015, it would be ridiculous not to include it on this list when I spent 3 months of 2016 playing it and did an extensive review of it on Monkey Broadcast in the same year. This game is science fiction at its finest. A story about a crew stranded on an alien world, which then explores every aspect of that premise. From the technology they use, to the races they encounter, to how the different cultures interact. I've had so much fun exploring this grand world and seeing what new adventures I could find as I played through every side quest I could whilst grinding out affection points to learn more about each character. Yes, I wish the final boss and ending had been better, but when there's a part of you that wants to go back to a game and experience it all over again, even when you have a mountain of new games to catch up with, it's definitely doing something right. Number 1! It says something when the only major negative I can think of for this game is that I haven't had enough time to finish it. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This game is an RPG that seems to have gone under the radar and admittedly requires a fan-made patch to fix a lot of bugs. But once I got started, I had the time of my life immersing myself into this world. Firstly, it has a great system for role-playing and character creation, which always gets me excited whenever I find it. And second, it's set in a fascinating world that really explores the concept of vampire society, mainly through clans that seem to be frozen in their original times. From the older clans bound in arcane superstition, to the anarchs who are remnants of the Great Depression, plus a badass pirate, voiced by Bender. Guess which clan I joined? And this is without mentioning the tough moral choices the game puts you through, or the truly excellent dungeons you can explore. This is not just my favourite gaming narrative this year. It's now one of my favourite RPG narratives, period. I'm glad to have found this game, and if you are a fan of RPGs, I cannot recommend this one enough. That's all from 2016. Here's to many more great gaming narratives, and hopefully some more VGT episodes in the future. I've been the Jonin Monkey, and until next time, cheerio.